going on, everybody? Welcome to the Tuesday edition of Burning Down with Kim Brown. Of course, this is the safe space where we set oppression ablaze because we understand it is more of us than oppression. Oppression is big and mighty, but we are numerous and small, and we will fuck ankles up out here. But no, seriously, y'all. The time is nigh, right? We are being shown sign after sign after sign, symbol after symbol after symbol, that the way that capitalism on this planet is the way it's set up right now. It's gonna be fucking us up in 2 to 5 years, not even, right? A lot of people much sooner than that. So it is of the most urgent expediency that we burn this shit down, all of this shit, all of the oppressive shit. I have some nominations for which ones need to go first, but we'll get there in just a little bit. I'd like to welcome everybody to the program. Let me try to find the chat, as it were. Welcome everybody. Please come on in here. Get comfy. Get comfortable. We are still in here social distancing and indoor masking. Fuck what you heard. COVID is out here. Still. Oh, hey. It's still jumping on people. There's my big face and mouth yelling at me and trying to headbutt me as usual. So we've got a good show for y'all today. So as you see in the headline, I'm very excited about today's show, and I cannot wait till we get our guest on today. We are going to be speaking with Crip Hop Nation's own Leroy Moore. Leroy is a bad young fella out here. Leroy has inspired me with his disability activism. And one of the latest projects that Leroy has been working on is a documentary about a man named Joe Capers. And I'm sure y'all like, who is Joe Capers? Well, you see in the headline, and of course you kind of have to be of a certain age and of a certain musical genre of affination, let's say, to really deep how significant Joe Capers' influence must have been on the Oakland Sound, Oakland, California, right? The Bay Area sound. Now, the Bay Area has had a couple of different eras of sound, right? Because it was Sly and them coming out the Bay. It was a lot of the Bay Area all-stars. The Bay has been out there leading the charge on black, funky R&B music, funk music, rap music, and rock music, really across the genres. The Bay Area, black folks in the Bay Area have been doing it. But for the era I'm speaking out specifically, the mid to late 80s, 90s, when there was artists like Digital Underground and Toni, and I'm even thinking In Vogue and Club Nouveau of that era. There was a gentleman who I just discovered was blind and who was a driving engine behind a lot of the artists responsible for this sound. Joe Capers. And I'd never heard of Joe Capers until I had a chance to read Leroy's piece, which appears in the San Francisco Bayview. And the title, we'll get to it, is called In Black August, We Condemn Wrongful Incarceration and Celebrate Joe Capers Month. And Leroy's going to join us in just a bit to talk to us about how August in Oakland, California is Joe Capers Month. Now, I can tell you that Joe Capers is now an ancestor. He's no longer with us. But, you know, as a Black disabled woman, I am very keen about how disabled contributions, particularly from non-white folks, that shit gets erased, right? People don't, either they don't know it, they don't talk about it, they don't broadcast it. And I think people's disability, especially when they have been standouts in a particular field, throw that disability in there. Please, by all means, mention that shit. Because I assure you, as hard, and I'm not even picking on like people like Pharrell and Timbaland. I'm just using examples as producers here, just the first two producers that came into my head. And I don't even know what the fuck Pharrell and Timbaland really got going on. They can have some invisible disabilities that I am completely not privy to. But as they look like outwardly able-bodied fellows, right? You can imagine, you know, all the work and grind and all that shit they had to put in to get to where they are. Now amplify that times 10, times that times 50, times that times 100, or even 1,000. If you're dealing with a person, especially trying to navigate the music industry, where image is everything, and you have a person with a visible disability, I am really, really, really excited to be speaking with Leroy about this. And it sounds actually, Leroy, I think Leroy is actually on the line. Stay tuned, Leroy. I see you in the cheek. Just chill, baby. Just chill. You're fine. You're fine. Get yourself together. We'll come back to him in a few minutes. But I'm very, very excited about this. So do me a favor, guys. Stick around. I'm so sorry. I am a tad bit in disarray. This has been a week of disarray. So please bear with me. But do me a favor, hit like and hit all the good things that I need you to do. Come on, Comrade Kwame. You already know. Shout out to the town. Listen, Oakland has always been, to me, a repository of deep blackness that I have always appreciated, and a place that I have long wanted to go visit, to see to see what black folks in the town is talking about. And I know the Oakland of today is not like the Oakland of 20 or 30 years ago, because I know that Oakland has also been dealing with the violence of gentrification, the violence of over policing, the violence of Silicon Valley, trying to push out long-standing residents of San Francisco and Oakland, and also all the regular racisms and environmental racisms and all that absurdity that black folks and brown folks in the Bay Area face. But I think this was very important to get this story, because it was something that I was not privy to. So hold on. I think Leroy. So Leroy, give me a thumbs up if you're ready to chat. If you're not ready to chat, I can give you a couple more minutes. Okay, Leroy's ready. Brilliant. All right, guys. We're going to get started right now, because I'm very excited, because this is long overdue. This is long overdue for Burn It Down to finally meet Crip Hop Nation. Gang, give the fire fam. I'm trying to see a fire fam welcome. I'm trying to see flame emojis, hearts, all that shit. Put it up in the chat right now. Guys, I'd like to welcome you to Burn It Down with Kim Brown, our guest, Leroy F. Moore Jr., who is a poet, a researcher, journalist, activist, also founder of Crip Hop Nation, and founding member of the National Black Disability Coalition. Leroy, I think you're joining us from LA, because Leroy's out here studying for his PhD. So Leroy, he Mr. California out here. He uptown, he downtown. He's all around the town. What's going on, Leroy? Welcome to Burn It Down. I'm so excited to have you on here finally. Uh-oh, I don't hear no sound on Leroy. I can't hear you at all, baby. Okie dokie. Hold on. Oh, you might be muted, Leroy. Check and make sure that your mic's not muted. Nope, we don't have no sound yet. So, so stand by, Leroy. We're gonna work and see about making sure that you have your, because I see you fine. It's just I literally don't hear anything. So that what makes me think that your mic might be muted, because I don't even hear no moving around and all. So it's not you not speaking into the mic. I'm wondering if the mic itself is muted. It's cool. Take hold off on that for a second, Leroy. Uh, your mic may not be connected, thinks Will. So, okay. So guys, bear with me for a second. Let us while we're trying to get Leroy's connection worked out. I do have some other things I want us to talk about, and we are going to come back to Joe Capers month in Oakland. And again, anytime anytime there's any sort of disabled people doing anything, and I literally mean anything, right? Because I say this in our disability support chats that we have every second Monday privately with the Fire Fam, but anybody is welcome to join if you're interested. We have a disability support chat for disabled folks, chronically ill folks, for disabled adjacent folks, people who are caregivers, etc. And one of the things I've said in the chat is, listen, like specifically, I talk about visually impaired people and blind folks. You see a blind person out by themselves, like by they fucking self, either them or, their support animal or their mobility device if they use a white cane or whatever, you better pay homage. you better step aside and pay homage to the god or to the goddess. Because I assure you, your fully sighted ass could never, you could fucking never. And I mean that in a very nice and loving way to all the fire fam. But y'all know I mean that shit from the bottom of my heart. Motherfuckers could never imagine and put themselves in the shoes of a low vision or disabled person, especially a visually impaired person, and walk around and run your errands and go to work like you normally do, right? Anytime you see a visibly disabled person out and about minding their business with all everybody else, you're looking at the bravest people on earth. Okay, without a doubt, you are looking at the bravest people on earth, and I assure you, your favorites could never fucking ever. But while we're gonna get Leroy together, get his sound together, let me talk to you about a couple of other stories that I wanted to bring you all. So, Will, let's go first with that Chipotle tweet, if we can get that, please, because this happened late Friday, and it came out of Lansing, Michigan, and the tweet reads, breaking, Chipotle workers in Lansing have won their historic union election. They formed the first ever unionized Chipotle in the country with the Teamsters. So they're going to be under the Teamsters umbrella. That was a pretty convincing vote there in Lansing, Michigan. Chipotle, of course, not happy, not enthusiastic about this. And in fact, that's in Lansing, Michigan. So these workers at the Chipotle in Lansing actually won their unionized election. Now, Chipotle workers in Augusta, Maine had organized and was ready to vote and go forward on a union, but Chipotle closed the store. Chipotle shut the store down in Augusta, Maine, because the workers there were organizing for better conditions, better hours, better pay, overall, just better everything. And Chipotle decided, nope, how about we don't union bust? How about we just shut the store down? How about we just close the store? And I said, oh boy, here we go. But not in Lansing. In Lansing, Michigan, they were able to be victorious. Very good for them. Shout out to the Chipotle workers in Lansing who are going to be under the Teamsters umbrella. Come on, we are union strong out here. The other union thing that I wanted us to put together, I think I was talking to you guys about the farm workers. So for the past, well, ending on Friday, right? For basically the entire month of August, the United Farm Workers and their members have been marching throughout California, marching to Sacramento to rally on the state on the steps of the state capitol by the thousands. Now, what they are rallying for has to do with a state bill that would give more protections, more legal protections for farm workers, and most importantly, allow them to vote and join, allow undocumented members, undocumented workers to vote in the union elections and to become the union members, which I was not privy before, that they were not legally allowed to do that because of their undocumented status, which is horrific because these people are still coming to work. So you telling me that because they are undocumented, they are not entitled to labor protections? What? Oh, that sounds very much on brand for regular ass white America. Well, let's check out this package. This is going to be from Al Jazeera Plus. Al Jazeera Plus actually did a good piece on this. Let's look at that. It's about 2 minutes long, but I think it's very informative. And most importantly, guys, where would we be without farm workers? We would be starving. Okay, we would be foodless. We would have no produce. We would have not a lot of anything fresh to eat. And the people who are most vulnerable in terms of working outdoors to climate change and extreme climate temperatures, particularly the heat wave that's approaching the West Coast now, are these farm workers. They're not, they are entitled to some protections, but those protections are not coming from the federal government. And in the state of California, they don't even come from the state. So let's check out this piece from AJ Plus about the farm workers.
Did you know farm workers are some of the only workers in the US whose basic labor rights are not fully guaranteed? Many don't have access to things like overtime pay, clean water, or collective bargaining. That's why these California farm workers and activists are walking to the state's capital. They hope the governor will sign a bill that will protect them from intimidation when voting in union elections.
Yo estoy marchando es porque nosotros queremos ser tratados con respeto. Yo represento miles o quizá millones de personas campesinas aquí en los Estados Unidos.
Teresa Romero is the president of United Farm Workers, a farm workers' labor union and the organizer behind the 24-day march. She says racism is why farm workers were excluded from the National Labor Relations Act.
In the 1930s, the majority of farm workers, especially in the South, were Black. They were excluded because of the color of their skin. So the laws need to change to include workers and protections throughout the country.
Farm workers like Veronica Mota depend on local state laws and reforms for workplace rights and protection.
Que nosotros valemos mucho, que si no fuera por nuestras manos en las tiendas, en los supermercados o en su propia casa del gobernador, a lo mejor no hubiera las verduras o las frutas.
Veronica has been a farm worker for 22 years. She's hoping to pressure Governor Gavin Newsom into signing AB 2183. The bill would expand union voting options for farm workers, like voting by mail or ballot drop-off.
Text message to Will Arenas.
Farm workers. The majority of them are documented. This bill is giving farm workers the opportunity
in the private chat, and can you respond to him?
In a safe way for them.
Veronica isn't getting paid while in the march, but says it's worth the sacrifice.
Suceden muchas cosas en el campo, cosas que las personas que no nos miran, pero no se dan la idea de lo que nosotros sufrimos. La cara llena de polvo. Es difícil, es muy triste la vida de un campesino.
Veronica says farm workers risk inhaling toxic pesticides, wild animals, and even sexual assault that often goes unreported.
It shows us that we have not come very far when it comes to farm workers' rights. We should not be treating the workers that are putting food in our table the way we're treating them.
Along the route, the marchers are welcomed by local communities. Veronica says these people are the reason she keeps going.
Yo cada rally que llego me salen las lágrimas porque miras la gente que te motiva, que te impulsa a seguir adelante. Me ha emocionado es ver a los niños chiquitos que llegan con sus papás a mitad de camino y se paran con una cajita de snack para empezar a valorar el sufrimiento de las personas que luchan por salir adelante, que luchan por sacar a su familia adelante.
All right, guys. Thank you all for telling me my mic was on. Yes, so my mic was on. So that is a package there from Al Jazeera Plus, and I'm appreciative to see that kind of coverage of these farm workers. Now, guys, what happened on Friday is that the farm workers did arrive in Sacramento. And bitch ass Gavin Newsom, the governor, Democrat, liberal, Gavin Newsom let the people them know that he totally intends to veto AB 2183. And really his reasons for wanting to veto it are inconsequential to I and inconsequential to them people who are out in the streets by the thousands, because I don't give a fuck what these politicians is talk about anymore. I don't want to hear all the reasons why we can't, why we got to wait, why we got to cut this corner, why we have to make this compromise. Fuck you. Fuck you, Gavin Newsom. Fuck the Democratic Party. And fuck anybody that is not standing in support of these people, like these very specific people, because without them, we don't eat. We do not eat. Be very clear about that. We don't eat because we can't eat just cows. I know Americans think that we can just eat the cow. No, morning, noon, and night, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. No, we cannot just eat the cow. Humans need protein or other plant protein. We need vegetables. We need minerals and all that vitamins and shit that you can only get from stuff that grows out of the ground, not stuff that goes moo. moo cow on top of the thing. So I want to support the farm workers, but it's not just me supporting the farm workers. It's not just you supporting the farm workers. Union brothers and sisters came out by the thousands. The National Nurses United Union came out to greet the farm workers. The Teamsters were out there greeting the farm workers. And I just wanted to show y'all these examples of union solidarity, because this is the kind of solidarity that it's going to take for us to get the kind of major victories that we know, I can't even say that are possible, that are necessary, unless we are just gonna forever be the handmaidens to the elite class. No, it's time for them to start redistributing some of that wealth, start breaking the people off with beyond what a so-called living wage is. I never want to hear the term living wage again. To me, living wage is synonymous with slavery wage. Fuck yeah. Well, we know slaves didn't get wages, but you understand what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck is a living wage? If living wage is literally just enabling me to have enough food so I can go to work, so I can have enough time off, so I can go to sleep in order so I can just go back to work, fuck that. People need thriving wages. People need excelling wages. People need productivity wages. They need all kinds of wages beyond a living wage, because what is the alternative to a living wage? A dying wage, a dead wage, which is basically what the federal minimum wage is right now. So check out, I want you guys to see the ways in which other unions help to receive the United Farm Workers when they marched into Sacramento, and really just the festive nature. I feel like it maybe our Latino gente in the chat can make these delineations, but this felt very Mexican. Like, I can't say if there's a lot of Centro Americanos here, and when looking at these scenes from Sacramento, it felt very Mexican. It didn't feel, Guatemalan, Nicaraguan, or El Salvadorian per se. It felt really, really Mexican. So I want you guys to take a look at these pictures. Well, if we could get those queued up. And this, again, was from Friday at the state capitol of Sacramento, when food workers and their allies and comrades stood up to let the governor know that food workers deserve legal protections. Let's take a look.
I am here in support of the farm workers and all they are fighting for union rights. I know well that union rights are important, and I know that the farm workers work very hard to provide us with fresh fruits and vegetables on our table every day.
Marching and walking in this 98-degree weather. It could be really hot, and so we want to make sure that we help them with rehydration, that we help them with any additional skin support that they might need. And I'm just excited to be able to provide that help to some of my fellow people.
Yup. I love that. I love to see those scenes. I'm sorry, guys. We're kind of having some technical difficulties here. Oh, I'm very sorry. But, and let me say this. So, absent of the seeds of solidarity that we just had, right? So today, what we wanted to talk about on today's show, trying to celebrate a unsung Black disability hero in the realm of Black urban music, right? And this person dealt with a lot of bullshit because they were blind, okay? And disabled people, regardless of the disability, deal with a lot of bullshit. And it doesn't even necessarily have to come from individuals. It can also come from systems. It can come from institutions. But let me tell y'all, this technology is a fucking bitch. And I tell you this as somebody who struggles with this shit every fucking day. And I am furious, to be perfectly honest, at the broadcast streaming software that we use on this platform. It's called Restream, and it's making me very, very angry. And I'm going to tell you why. We were using StreamYard, and StreamYard seems to be pretty, user friendly, seamless, or whatever. If you have a guest, you send them a StreamYard link. They click the link, they join the broadcast. It's very simple. We use StreamYard on Black Power Media. I don't have a StreamYard account. StreamYard never gives me any shit. I click the link, it lets me in the thing. Restream, this bitch ass software that we got, asks people to fully create an account and log in, right? And that is problematic, okay? It is, for one, I think an unnecessary invasion of privacy, but it's ableist as fuck. Because as someone who myself, I struggle with this email password, for 20 fucking things. That shit drives me up a wall. And it seems to be an impediment to the problem, part of the problems that we're having right now, because again, it's an unnecessary pain in the ass. It's ableist, and I don't fucking understand why the fuck Restream needs for guests to create whole ass accounts just to join the goddamn broadcast. And I'm very not happy about that. And I'm so apologetic to Leroy, because this is not Leroy's fault. Leroy, the software is some shit. The software is some bullshit. So Will is working with Leroy now to try to get everything on the up and up. But I'm just routinely the kind of inaccessibility that folks face. And I think more people actually try to power through inaccessibility because, people are trying to power through inaccessibility because a lot of people don't either want to ask for help or admit that they are struggling with something that everybody else seems to get very easily, right? Like whenever we, the Burn It Down with Kim Brown team, whenever we're doing shit behind the scenes and it involves some extra pressing of buttons, like I'm the last one finished always, because it just takes me longer. It takes me longer to find the shit on the keyboard. It takes me longer to type it in correctly. And I feel like technology, whereas it should be really helping disabled people way more than it is, I find it to be a hindrance and a goddamn pain in the ass. So I'm just not feeling it right now. Listen, dog, I'm gonna have to break my Twitter strike to come on and start flaming Restream and say, what the fuck is this shit, man? What the fuck is this shit? Because I get, and listen, and I say this, Will and I, and y'all may not believe us, but Will and I, we was practicing. We did a test run on a broadcast earlier today, and we were encountering this exact problem. I said, this is a madness. Surely it cannot be this. And it is precisely this. So I say this out of frustration, out of my own personal frustration that I felt earlier today, and out of frustration for my guests that we StreamYard, not StreamYard, pardon me, Restream. Let me shout out StreamYard. Middle finger goes up to Restream. Wait, is that my middle? Yeah, middle finger goes up to Restream, because Restream is fucking up the program. But anyway, I appreciate you guys rocking with us right now. Go ahead and hit the thumbs up on this video anyway, if you don't mind. And you can follow us places around the internet at BIDWKB. That's where we're located on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch. Dee Northern Witch is modding for us on Twitch because she is a boss lady. And we're on Twitter at Burn It Down KB on Twitter. I don't know where the fuck we are. Oh, okay. Wait. That is something I can do really quick. And I appreciate you guys letting me stall for time, because I really don't know what else to do, because I am so excited to speak with Leon, and I know the story that he has for us to give, and I really want to hear it. So there's that. But people who ran us some cash apps last week, that would be my darling Ursula. Thank you so much, Ursula. Thank you so much, Patrick S., for your ongoing support. Of course, Court. Thank you so much, Court. And of course, Sonia. Thank you so much, Sonia, for your ongoing support. And to our new patrons, because we did get a couple of those. You know, our patrons kind of ebb and flow a little bit. Sometimes we win some, sometimes we lose some. But we did win some. We have won some as of late. I shouted out Humorous last show. Let me shout out to Ashley W. And let me shout out to Shay T for their new pledgery. We appreciate all of the support and appreciate you becoming a member of the Fire Fam. Okay, so I think I might be hearing Leroy. So, Leroy, talk in the mic for me, baby. Let me see if I can hear you because I hear something behind me. Okay, so I hear noises, but I don't know what I'm hearing. So,
okay, I can hear you.
Brilliant.
Yes.
Brilliant. All right. Thank you, Lord Jesus. Will, bring my man's on screen, man. Let's do this. Crip Hop Nation. Crip Hop
What's
Nation.
up? What's
Crip
up,
Hop
Kim?
Nation. Leroy, what is good, bruv? How are you?
Oh my God, I'm doing good. I love your show. Kick
Leroy,
ass.
I'm so let me apologize. I'm so sorry for the streaming software. Like I said, I realized it today how kind of inaccessible it was, and I'm very angry that it was this way, and I'm sorry that it gave us some problems, but I'm so glad that you're here now. I'm so glad that you are here now. So thank you so much for making the time, Leroy. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, guys, let me reintroduce my guests, y'all, because I gave you an introduction, Leroy, and we didn't get you on screen. So let me do the thing. Let me do the thing again, guys. So I'm so excited to welcome and to talk about a very important figure in the music industry in Oakland, California during the 80s and 90s, who was very instrumental and happened to be a Black disabled person and one of the people who was responsible for bringing Joe Caper's story to life is Leroy Moore. I'm sorry, let me get the name right. Leroy F. Moore Jr. You better say his name. He is a poet. He is a journalist. He's also an activist. Leroy is the founding member. He's the founder, of Crip Hop Nation and a founding member of the National Black Disability Coalition. And he's joining us today, I believe, from SoCal. So, Leroy, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here on Burn It Down with Kim Brown.
Hey, you kick ass. Thank you for having me.
Leroy, you kick ass. And I have confessed, Leroy, when I saw Crip Hop Nation in the chat on Friday, and I said, Crip Hop Nation, I said, hit me up because I saw your piece in San Francisco, Bayview. Will, at your convenience, let's get that article pulled up. It's
one of the kick-ass Black newspapers in the world, I think.
I'm glad to hear that. But I have to tell you, Leroy, I saw the title and I had bookmarked the piece, right? So the title is In Black August, Condemn Wrongful Incarceration and Celebrate Joe Capers Month. And off the headline alone, I said, oh, Joe Capers must be a political prisoner, right? Mm-hmm. And so when I saw you in the chat, I'm like, yeah, we're gonna talk about Black August. And then when I sat down and actually read the piece, I said, oh, this is completely different. This is not what I was expecting at all, Leroy, but it's everything. It is everything. So in Oakland, California, you and other people rallied and organized for a recognition of Joe Capers Month. But before we talk about how that happened, you got to tell us why we should know who Joe Capers is and who was Joe Capers.
Oh my God. Well, first, thank you so much for having me. And I want to shout out Naru Kuwan, because Naru really knew Joe Capers, and he started to do the movie. But Joe Capers, whoo, he was a musician and engineer back in the 80s before home studios. So he had one of the first accessible studios in Oaktown, and everybody came through his studio. MC Hammer, In Vogue, um, everybody. So Joe Capers produced a lot of people. He was blind, and he just opened up his studio not only for music, but he had people, homeless black people, black youth, stay over in his studio. So his studio was a safe haven in Berkeley before gentrification, and he was just incredible. So when I found out about his story, I was doing a show on KPFA radio in Berkeley on black disabled musicians. I got home and somebody called me and said, "Oh, do you know Joe Capers?" I didn't know him. So this friend, told me the whole story about Joe, about having that music studio, about engineering all the Oakland sound that you think of. Toni and Bo came out of his studio. So at that time, I did an event at Atlanta, in I think it's Georgia State University, where Joe Capers' family is at now, and we gave the family an award. And I came back and wanted to do more. And that's when I reached out to Naru, and Naru is a good friend. He's a poet, teacher, filmmaker, and he knew Joe Capers. And he's like, "Oh yeah, Joe Capers, yeah, let's do a movie." And it took us like I think 5 years to do this movie. So we interviewed MC Hammer, we interviewed Digital Underground, rest in peace, Humpty Hump. We interviewed him. We interviewed Don from In Vogue. Interviewed a lot of people from the Oakland area. And everybody had the same story that Joe Capers really had an open heart and produced a lot of people. He didn't want the bling bling. He just wanted to do the work. So we went to the mayor at the time. I went to the mayor. I was like, this person needs to have a whole month, a Joe Capers month, because he's the first black disabled, person that I think that needs to be recognized in Oakland. So the mayor, him and Hall, we pushed her, and she said, okay. So now it's Joe Capers month every August in Oakland. It's been like that for the last 2 years.
And that is an incredible achievement. And when I read your piece, there was several things that jumped out at me. And then when I went to look at the movie online, which it is available on YouTube for anyone
Yeah.
who may be interested, and I can drop the link in the show description. But there was a couple things that jumped out at me, Leroy. First of all, the amount of contributions from disabled folks, particularly Black disabled folks, that either just go outright unacknowledged,
Yeah.
ignored, don't nobody know. You know what I'm saying? Don't
Yeah.
nobody want to mention that the person was a wheelchair user
Yeah.
or may have
Yeah.
been, nobody wants to mention that in the thing.
Yeah.
So that jumped out at me because again, I had never heard of Joe Capers before reading your piece and listening to that iconography of Oakland artists. I'm like, I listened to all of those artists, all of those songs.
Exactly. Yeah.
Chances are I was jamming to some shit that was produced in Joe Capers studio. So
Yeah.
that jumped at me. And Leroy, I too am visually impaired, right? So especially when I hear about blind folks, because people don't seem to think that blind people can do any fucking thing, right? And one of my biggest gripes is ableism. Obviously, I'm sure you know that. But on social media, every so often, there will be a hashtag that will come up about Stevie Wonder, and the hashtag is Stevie
Yeah.
Ain't Blind. It will go through all
God.
the things that people don't think that Stevie can do. Stevie can't play the drums. Stevie can't catch microphones. This, that, and the third. But when it comes to Joe, and I know you didn't know him personally, but I know the co-producer of the movie did know Joe. Do we know to what extent? Well, for one, I want to talk about how Joe lost his vision, because
Yeah.
he lost his vision as a result of a freak accident.
Yeah.
And that's something that I also want the audience to be very well aware of, because you can and you will come to disability through a variety of ways. Okay.
Oh
You
yeah.
can be born disabled. You can, experience some sort of catastrophe, or old age and disease will eventually get you. But disability is coming for you one way or the other. But a freak accident is what took Joe Caper's sight. And so let me ask you about that. And to what extent could Joe see? Was he totally blind, or to your awareness, did he have any vision while he was doing all that he was doing in the music field?
So when I was in Atlanta, Georgia, I interviewed the family. I interviewed his mother. She's still alive. Rest in peace. He passed away. So I interviewed the family. And the family told me the story. The family said that Joe Capers was in the bathroom. He was cleaning the bathroom, and this was back in the 70s, I guess. And he had this cleaner with holes in it, and the cleaner hit the hot water, and the chemicals jumped back into his face, and that's how he became blind. Yeah,
So was he totally blind, or did he have some vision?
I think
Because
I think I think he was totally blind. Yeah,
wow. And that's something that I think is also important to distinguish for the audience, is that, when people, well, in Joe's case, he was totally blind, but blind doesn't always mean
yeah.
totally blind. There's a range of low vision and vision impairments. To me, that makes Joe even that much more remarkable, considering that he was totally blind. And I want us to play a clip, if we could, from the documentary that you co-produced, Leroy, and it's called Blind Joe: The Joe Capers Legacy 2022. It is available on YouTube. And this clip is going to pick up with an interview speaking with musician James Richards. And James Richards is about to describe encountering Joe Capers after playing a club in Oakland, and Joe was playing the keys. He was doing the keyboards for an R&B singing group called the O Mystics, which at the time had a guitarist by the name of Dwayne Wiggins. If you're familiar with Toni, I know the tank game on me just to show us my name is Dwayne. That Dwayne, Dwayne Wiggins for Toni was also part of the O Mystics, playing with Joe Capers. And James Richard is going to pick up the story talking about Joe's musicianship, but also the hardships that he encountered while running this fully accessible studio, the only of its kind in the Bay Area, and in the ways people would take advantage of his disability. So let's take a look at that.
After the show, I just casually went and started talking to the guy about gear, because I forget what kind of keyboard he had. But he was talking about, he was over at our keyboards looking like, oh man, that's really nice. And he's touching them and he's feeling them. He's like, what is that? He said, oh, I know what it is. Don't tell me. And he's just feeling on it. He said, okay, that's a DX7. That's a Geno 106.
Wow.
That's a Mirage. And then I said, well, up here, look, reach up here. I didn't know his name. Reach up here. And he's reaching. And he's like, that's a DMX drum machine. He built an even bigger studio. And I believe that was when Raphael was playing with Sheila E. I think he was the first one to go with Sheila E. And then Tommy and Denny from Club Nouveau recruited the brothers, and they started recording at Joe's house. He had a 24 track. But my subsequent visits, it seemed like the studio would deteriorate, just get worse. And I'm like, Joe, what's wrong with the studio? He's like, well, I said, well, all these people around here, why don't they help you clean up? Why don't they help you financially? I know you have money, but, he said, well, people come to the studio and they'll pay me. But a lot of times they're just, cats were so dirty. They were handing him dollar bills. Like he said, okay, well, give me $20 or give me $100, right? and they would give him five $1 bills instead of 5 20s. Thing,
I've heard the story. Yeah.
Right, he couldn't see or whatever. Joe never complained. When the people called to come back, they come on back. He'd let them record some more, right?
Yeah.
But towards the end, I want to say, I don't know if it was quite the end, but he was running out of money.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, Joe, what about all these people that you've been taking care of? What about all these now superstars whose careers you basically launched?
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot of them. I mean, a lot of people in Oakland. The Oakland
Without
music
a
scene
doubt.
was growing back then. You know what I mean? And I said, well, what about these people? Well, it's okay. I'm not tripping. And the last time I went to the studio, nothing worked. The channels of the board were out. The wires hanging everywhere, speakers blown. Garbage piled up all over the place. House dirty. Joe and that smile was gone. Yep. And Joe was hanging his head. I said, Joe, tell you what, man, what are we gonna do? Let's just pack everything up and go. Just tell me, I'll get a truck. We'll just pack it, and we won't tell anybody where you are. Right? He said, nah, but people depend on this and that. And then I figured it out that gave him his will to live. Being around all those people was his food.
Leroy, let me get your reaction to that, because I have to say, I mean, I felt a rush of emotions listening to that retelling of the stories of this man opening his home, his studio, allowing people to come in and record, people taking advantage of his disability, telling him that the dollar bills are certain denominations and they're not those denominations. Meanwhile, he's not able to upkeep his studio, keep his place clean, basically keep a roof over his head. And I just thought about the ways in which disabled folks routinely have their labor exploited and have, people attempting to constantly run scams on them because they perceive them as vulnerable or as ignorant. And it doesn't sound to me that Joe Capers was any of those things, but just tremendous benevolent soul who may have known he was being taken advantage of. But like James Richards said in the clip, he thrived so much off of the environment of just being around those artists. Let me get your reaction to what we just heard.
Yeah, it's a sad story. I was told that story years ago before the movie came out, when his friend called me, when I came, back from the radio station, and she was telling the truth. Just telling, people with big names, used to take advantage of them. And, that story goes back to the blues. A lot of black blind blues artists were taking advantage from the music industry since day one. So that story is nothing new. But what really hurt me is that when I came back from Atlanta, I was looking for these people. Nobody came through except Naru and Greg Bridges. Greg Bridges is a DJ at KPFA in Berkeley. And those are the two that really came through. And, a couple other people. But, those stories live on their consciousness. So we went on and did the movie, but those stories live on their consciousness,
I hope they do. I hope they do, because again, they took advantage of him in life, but again, to not maybe participate in the telling of his legacy, which is a hell of a legacy, because in addition to what Joe did in the music industry, I mean, Joe was a married man. Joe had a family before he transitioned to become an ancestor. I mean, he was a very thriving individual living with his disability. I don't like to say people overcome their disabilities, because I I
No,
don't.
no,
I
no,
mean,
no,
you don't
no,
do that,
no,
right?
no, you don't do that.
Like
Yeah,
your disability is like right there riding shotgun with you, right? Like it does. You
yeah,
don't overcome it. Like he
yeah,
did what he needed to do in addition to being a disabled man.
yeah.
Talk to me about yeah.
And beyond his music, he went forward and taught a lot of blind people, that became blind how to be blind. He fought for disability rights. This is like the 80s, so this is before the ADA, the Americans with Disability Act. So he fought for those rights. So he had life outside of the music. He went back to school. He wanted to be a counselor. So his life. He did things in Oakland that nobody has done. And we hear about white disabled leaders. We have the movie Crip Camp, and we have white disabled leaders, but we don't celebrate black disabled leaders. And I put that to the black community because the black community has to deal with their ableism. And I have one poem saying, can we come home? Because we can't come home because the black community is still rigid with their ableism.
And that's you hit me in the heart. You hit me right here with that shit. Because people don't understand how damaging and how hurtful and how really pervasive and in some ways very invisible and insidious ableism is and inaccessibility is. And black folks, I think the black community at large, because I know a lot of black caregivers, right? Like I know a lot of black folks that will step up and take care of the elderly when they need it, that will care for disabled family members when they need it. But I feel like disabled folks are in the black community, like we're kind of hidden. You know what I'm saying? Like they leave us at home, like they leave us in the house. You don't see us in
You
those
know,
ways.
yeah, to tell you the truth, and it's hard to tell, but the black community still has the slave masters thinking around disability. You heal it, or you get a check, or you get services, and that's it. So the white disabled community is, with disability rights, disability justice, you got disability arts, you got disability studies, you got all kinds of, pro disability thinking in the white disabled community.
Mm-hmm.
But because of racism in the disabled community, that didn't trickle down to the black community. So no wonder the black community still has the slave masters thinking around disability. A lot of disabled activists have to leave the black community to work, to do books, to do art. I mean, the NWACP has no clue around disability.
Hmm.
The Urban League has no clue around disability. All of our black national organizations has no clue, and even our black leaders. It's funny because it's not funny, but like you said, disability will catch up to you. Jesse Jackson is now disabled, but he doesn't want to come out to the disabled community. I wrote a lot of black leaders back in the 80s. I mean, wrote letters before computers for a whole month. I wrote Jesse Jackson, I wrote the Urban League, I wrote NWCP, I think Oprah was on TV. I wrote so many people, and I got letters saying, well, there's nothing out there. And this is coming from PhDs. That's like, what? I mean, Harriet Tubman had this. I was like, so, that's my studies now. Being at UCLA, doing a PhD, trying to get queer power, going to open a queer power institute where young little Leroys and Leelas can come and see themselves.
Yes.
Because if you go to a black museum, you don't see a black disabled people. I went to the museum in D.C. They had hair coming all over. They didn't mention her disability. I was like, come on, people. And also, that museum had nothing in Braille. I was
Wow.
like, are you kidding me? A multi-million-dollar museum had nothing in Braille at that time. So, it's totally backwards. And that's why Crip Hop is doing the Crip Hop Institute, you know.
Yo, and see, Leroy, you kind of give me some validation here because, I live in the DC area. I had still not been to the National Super Negro Museum. I don't even know what it's called, but I haven't been there. But the reason I haven't been there, Leroy, is because the way, from what I understand, I know lots of people that have been, but they bring you in on the lower level. I guess it's supposed to simulate being in the bowels of the slave ship, and it's very dark. Okay, well, I don't see good in the dark. Okay, like that being in dimly lit situations makes me very uncomfortable, and that is the main reason I have not been to the funky ass museum, because I'm like, turn the fucking lights on, man. But I didn't even realize that they did not even have some of their exhibits available in Braille, which is astounding. Like, you just really blew my mind with that. But I got a couple more questions for you, Leroy. I'm not gonna hold you all night, and I appreciate you making some time. But I wanted to know, in the ways in which, we heard a little bit about how Joe Capers encountered ableism during the course of running his recording studio. People would fake pay him, etc. But I'm wondering, because I know how superficial the entertainment industry is, right?
Yeah.
And I know, and I'm sure you show up to the jam, Leroy. Are you seeing a lot of wheelchair users? Are you seeing a lot of emotional support animals? Are you seeing a lot of white canes? Like, I feel as though disabled people are intentionally left out of certain spaces, and hip hop is one of them, with a few exceptions. With very few exceptions, I can think of the rapper Blind Fury, who, famous for doing those freestyles. And I know of a blind DJ out of Philly. His name is DJ Touchtone. To my knowledge,
Touchtone.
Touchtone, right? But I can't name 10. I can't name 10 folks.
Yeah, brother Ali.
Brother Ali. Yes, brother Ali. Yes.
MF Grimm, back in the 80s, he has a disability because he was shot, way before 50 Cent. So him, we just lost Bushwick Bill. Bushwick Bill, just lost him. So much. Prodigy, we lost. He had sickle cell. So there are people out there, but once again, the industry doesn't. Prodigy wanted to do a song with TLC, the singer TLC that had sickle cell.
Oh, T-Boz.
Yeah, but the industry said no. I was like, are you serious? Yeah, so those two wanted to do a song about sickle cell, but the industry said no. So
and I'm glad that you mentioned those artists, and I'm also thinking about people behind the scenes as well. You know what I mean? Like, as a person who used to work in the industry, I seriously cannot recall ever encountering someone who was visibly disabled. I'm sure people were dealing with invisible disabilities, all day, but not. I don't remember encountering too many people who were outwardly disabled, and that bothers me because, aside from the people that they put in front of the camera or behind the microphone, like the real people that sit behind the desks and that are the real shapers of this industry and this culture, don't take disabled fans. They don't take disabled, participants in hip hop culture. That's not even something that crosses their mind, which is, of course, an extension of the greater American society, which generally does not even think about or bother to plan for disabled folks. So how is it that we can change this in our cultures, specifically from your perspective?
Yeah, just get down with Crip Hop. we're doing it. You know, we won an Emmy last year of a
Hey.
song with the movie Rising Phoenix about the Paralympics. You know, so we did that. We're about to open this institute. We're about to open up our own channel, not a YouTube channel, but our own channel. So we're doing things, and we're doing things on an SSI budget. You know, there's no Ford Foundation grant here. It's SSI dollars, and we've been doing that for the last 17 years. You
Wow.
know, so.
Wow. Well, Leroy, I'm gonna let you go. I'm trying to think. Was there something else that I had to put to you? But I feel like I could really talk to you all day, and I appreciate you bringing the story of Joe Capers to us via your piece in SF Bayview, because again, I had no clue. I had no clue. Like you were talking about an era of music, specifically a genre, a subgenre within a genre, within the R&B genre, the subgenre of the Oakland Sound, was music that I consumed deeply, deeply. And to find out that there was a black man that was an engine, a black blind man that was an engine behind that. I mean, just it really made my day for learning that information. And I have you to thank for it, because I did not know about Joe Capers. I did not know about his contribution. And conversely, you know, some of the shit that he went through, I can relate to as a black disabled person. And I'm sorry that he had to endure that. Before we let you go, Leon, Joe is no longer with us. Joe, when did Joe pass away? And what do you feel is also part of his legacy?
God, I think Joe passed away in 2004. I'm not sure. You know, but his legacy is there. His legacy is, you know, do the work. Do the work. You know, he opened up his own studio. He did the work for years, and that's why people are listening to Toni in Vogue, is because of Joe Capers. But I want to leave you with something to bring back to Black Power media.
Mhm.
Is that, you know, we talk about prisoners, but we don't talk about deaf prisoners and how their rights has totally been railroaded. I mean, they can't even use the phone. They took out the TTY phones. So yeah, I just want to have Black Power media to really talk about you know, black disabled prisoners, you know, because the school thing is directly into special education, and that's where black disabled girls and boys are, and they're taking them right from special education. So.
Mm. I think that yes. What else can I say? But yes, I agree that that is something that we need to be approaching and having a lot of conversations about, and figuring out the best ways to organize and support our deaf and hard of hearing brothers and sisters who are incarcerated behind the wall, and get them all the things that they deserve to have, and in terms of accessibility to everything that they could need. So, but thank you so much for bringing that up, and thank you so much for making time, Leroy. Again, I'm so sorry for the frustration. I am very not happy with Restream at all, for your experience and for my experience, but I'm so grateful that we were able to make this happen, and grateful that you were on to talk to us and educate us about Joe Capers, and his black disabled contribution, massive contribution to the Oakland Sound. So thank you so much, Leroy.
Yeah, thank you, Ken, and I love your channel, love it. So keep on
Thank
doing
you.
it.
Thank you. See, I tell y'all, Fire Fam, we got the best viewers. We got Crip Hop Nation, part of the Fire Fam. So you guys, we've been speaking to Leroy F. Moore Jr. He is a poet, journalist, also the founder of Crip Hop Nation, and one of the co-founders of the National Black Disability Collective, and he co-produced Blind Joe, the Joe Capers Legacy 2022. It is available on YouTube. Leroy, Crip Hop Nation, thank you so much again for making the time to join us.
Bye.
Peace,
Frat
baby.
boys.
Let's go. Let's go. Woo! Oh my goodness. I feel so much better. I feel so much better because I was worried that we weren't going to be able to get Leroy on, and so that Leroy could bless us with that story about Joe Capers, and we were able to do it. Shout out to Will. Thank you, Will, for being persistent behind the background. Thank you so much to Tafari for your super chat. Tafari says, big love to BIDWKB. Thank you guys. Thank you guys so much. Again, much and special thanks going out to Leroy Moore. And I needed to hear that story of Joe Capers, guys. Those who participate in our Fire Fam disability support chats, you know, sometimes my disability gets me down and I want to throw things and burn things and destroy things. It just makes me want to destroy things. So I was one half like so excited to find out that this black blind man, I keep saying black man, is ain't nothing but black men behind all the urban music that I love, but this blind black man was behind, who was fucking with Toni, in this year, next year, last year, this decade, next decade, last decade. The quality of the R&B was really unmatched, and to find out that this blind man had a integral part in it just really made me feel good. And then to find out that motherfuckers was trying to fuck him over and not pay him properly and not help him out in his time of need and exploit his labor and not come out and come around when it's time to tell his story, which is a remarkable story, also made me equally furious as I was inspired to hear about his existence and what he was able to do in the first place. So you guys, this disability journey is it's a doozy. And I say this, and again, this is not bad wishes, anything on that. This is some reality shit that everybody needs to deep and get with right now. Okay. And the only reason I talk about the prevalence of disability and the likelihood that regular, normal, able-bodied people will they themselves one day be disabled. And the reason I say all this somewhat with the frequency that I do is because it is important now, while you are able-bodied, to make sure that the rest of society is accessible for those who are not able-bodied. Because when the time comes for you to not be able-bodied, you're going to see how difficult society is for those who are not able-bodied. And it's not like the disability population out here is small. It is 1 in 5. It is 20% of the nation, right? How many people we got in America? 330 million. What's 20% of that? A whole goddamn lot. Okay. My math skills are not that swift, but you understand what I'm saying. 20. Oh, ain't that a bitch? That was me. Whoops. Okay, are we still on? Okay, good. Okay, it's all right. Everything blinked. I didn't know what happened, but I know what happened now. My toe hit the thing. So anyway, that's why I include ableism as one of the systems of oppression that we need to fucking burn down. White supremacy, colonialism, sexism, misogyny, transphobia, homophobia, ableism is right fucking there, baby. It is right fucking there, because this country, this capitalist society, as Leroy just told us, we have internalized a lot of that colonialism, a lot of that colonist thinking. So if a body is not 100% normal, able to produce, bear labor and be all these things, then we look at that body as less than. You guys would be surprised at the amount of compliments. I don't think I would call it a compliment, but when non-disabled people are trying to commiserate with disabled people, one of the things that they will sometimes say often is that, man, if I had what you had, I don't know how you survive. I'd probably just go ahead and kill myself. Really? Oh, okay. Oh, so you say I should kill myself, right? Oh, okay. Got it. Because that's what my life is valued to you as a disabled person. You don't think that I have any value, that I might as well be dead if I have to live with this disability. And that's fucked up. And that's fucked up because people live very full lives whilst disabled. It is the ableism. It is the inaccessibility that makes disabled people's lives harder. Not the fact that they're disabled. The fact is that society makes it very difficult, if not impossible, for them to operate, for them to succeed, for them to thrive as disabled people. And there's really no reason for it, right? Why do y'all think the reason I was paying attention to the fucking Metro Access worker strike? Because Metro Access provides a very important service for disabled people and elderly people in the DC region. It allows them freedom and independence while on public transport. So I was very invested that those people got what they needed so they in turn could give the disabled community what it needs, what we need. So that's why I'm going to bring these topics to y'all. I don't give a fuck if it's 10 niggas watching, okay? Like, I don't give a goddamn. Because you know why? Because ain't nobody else going to talk about this shit besides me and Crip Hop Nation. Shout out to Leroy. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I don't even talk about disabled shit enough, because again, I'm dealing with my own internalized ableism, so it is hard for me sometimes to talk about this shit. But when I saw the Joe Caper story, hold on, let me drop this in the chat for y'all right now, because y'all know I'm a stoner and I will fucking forget to put it in the show description. I will forget to put it in the show description. I'm about to drop this in the chat for y'all right now because it's short, it's a quick read, and I feel like a better person knowing that Joe Capers existed and what Joe Capers did. Yes, hold on. Let me type it in here so y'all can know what's happening here. So yeah, please read this because it is good. And Leroy is a boss out here, and Leroy's fucking hilarious. Did you hear Leroy say they was launching the Crip Hop Nation Institute off SSI dollars? I think you have to be on disability to really get how funny that is. But that's hilarious. Crip Hop Nation's piece on Joe Capers, as I am typing this out in real time, because there's no rules here, guys. This is Burn It Down with Kim Brown. We do what the fuck we want. we stop, take a step back. Who do you see? Bam. Okay, good. Okay, so it's in the chat. The link to Leroy's piece is in there, so please do me a favor and check that out. Hello, Real Lucretia. Hey, Holly Horn. What's going on, Big Teal? What's up, Leroy? Thank you so much, Leroy. I like you so much, and we're gonna get you on BPM. I think you've already been on Mix What I Like, but maybe I have that wrong. But anyway, y'all, Joe Capers, and I'm telling you, next, and this is what I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna go. The other thing I need y'all to do is that when people crack fucking ableist jokes in your presence, I need you to shut that shit all the way fucking down, okay? Shut it the fuck down. And I don't give a fuck what disability they cracking on. I don't care if they talking about somebody who is, I don't care. I really do not care. I do not fucking care. If somebody has mobility challenges, if someone is deaf or hard of hearing, someone is visually impaired or blind, someone is a wheelchair user. I mean, and I feel like, I know y'all gonna be like, Kim, why are you telling us this? We are grown. I know y'all are grown and got good sense, but you would be fucking surprised at the amount of whole ass adults at their giant fucking ages who won't hesitate to say some ableist shit, right? And then they'll be like, oh, why are you so sensitive? You don't have blah, blah, blah. Shut the fuck up, man. Just shut the fuck up. Stop it in its tracks. The only way that we know racism is going to be defeated is if white folks participate in that endeavor. The only way we are going to be able to defeat misogyny and misogynoir is if men take an active role in that. And ables, y'all got to be the ones stepping the fuck up to help defeat ableism. You have to do it. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's your grandmother. Check her ass, okay? She gonna start making fun of people. Granny, we not doing that. We don't do that no more, Granny. Check the shit out your grandmother. I don't give a fuck who it is. Check their ass on their ableism right then and there. Immediately. Advocate for your disabled neighbors, for your disabled coworkers, for your disabled friends. And if you are a disabled person, take your time. If your disability is not visible and you're not ready to come out and tell people, do what you need to do. Take your time for you. But for the abled people, when you see disabled people out and about, I need you to recognize a real G when you fucking see one, okay? When you see a real wheelchair user out there and about in the world, a person using a cane, a person with their support animal. Recognize a real G when you see one, because I assure you, your fave could fucking never. Could fucking never. So anywho, let's call this a night. Let's call this a night. I suppose I will see y'all tomorrow morning on Black Power Media. That is my intention, to get up and come kick it with the bruvs tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern time. And I will be co-hosting Status Coup tomorrow with Jordan Cheriton over on Status Coup News, 5 p.m. Pardon me, I keep burping in y'all ear, my bad. 5 p.m. Eastern. So tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Black Power Media. Tomorrow evening, Status Coup, 5 in the p.m. And I will see y'all back here on Friday. And listen, I don't even know about no guest Friday. We might just get fried on Friday. I might just tell y'all to bring all your get high shit. I don't even give a fuck what it is. Just bring all your get high shit. We might fuck around and get high on Friday, because it's been one of them kind of weeks. Luke Kang, you feel me? Luke Kang, come on now. It's been a long week. All right, guys. So on behalf of Molly and Will, we want to thank you all for tuning in to Burn It Down with Kim Brown. Please don't forget COVID. COVID is out here jumping on people. And I hate to say this, COVID might jump on your children this week at school. I'm sure your kids will be fine. It's you I'm concerned about. The children will be fine. It's your ass at home that I'm worried about. So please, send your kid to school with a mask. I don't even know what to tell y'all anymore. Seriously, just wash your hands, social distance, wash your feet, wash your sheets on hot. I don't know what to say anymore. But COVID is still out here jumping on people. I guess monkeypox is still out here jumping on people. Polio's out here trying to jump on people. It's just a fucking madness that we live in right now. So otherwise, please be safe. And I love you guys. And we'll see you back here for Burn It Down on Kim Brown Friday on behalf of Will and Molly. Love y'all. See y'all later. Bye-bye. Outro.